Hello everybody and welcome to DirectX 11 tutorial 16. In this tutorial we are going to set up our Rasterizer State. Let's go to the graphics header. We are going to add an object of type ID3D11 Rasterizer State to store our Rasterizer State. And now let's go into where we are initializing DirectX. And at the end here, after we have set our viewports, we are going to create our rasterizer description. So we create a D3D11 rasterizer description variable. We zero it out. We're going to set the fill mode to be solid and the cull mode to cull back. Now we'll get into this in just a second. So we create the rasterizer state, we pass in the description, and we call get address of to populate it. If it failed, then we are going to log the error, failed to create rasterizer state. The last thing we need to do is down where we are actually drawing in the render frame. After we set the primitive topology, we need to set the rasterizer state with rs_set_state. We're going to call get. Alright, and that should set the rasterizer state. So currently, if we test this out, we will get the same thing we got before. We could change from fill solid to fill wireframe, and I'm sure you've seen this before. We will get a wireframe. We had showed in the last tutorial that you have to draw the triangles in clockwise formation as far as how the vertices are laid out. However, let's say that for some reason you wanted to do it counterclockwise. You could set this variable for front counterclockwise to true. And then we could go down to our vertices. So let's see, if we move the top middle to be the first vertex, then that will be counterclockwise. So it'll be the top and then the bottom and then the top and then the bottom left and then the bottom right. So if we test this, we should see the triangle. Alright. However, I'm going to put it back how it was. So now we have it back in the clockwise formation for the points. And if we test this, we will get nothing. Because we currently have the rasterizer state set to front counterclockwise. I'm going to remove that. Now let's say that you want to draw the triangle regardless of whether you're looking at the front of it or you're looking at the back of it. Because that is why we are using the, that's why we have the vertices in clockwise order. Because that way we know if we're looking at the front of the triangle. If we don't want to cull the backs of the triangles, we can change the cull mode to none. And then when we test this now, if this was, regardless of which order this was put in, if it was clockwise or counterclockwise, if we have it set to cull none, we will still see it. Now the reason that we are only rendering the front of the triangles is because usually you should not be able to see the backs of the triangles. For example, they might be inside of the object, so it wouldn't make sense to render them. So here's an example in the game called World of Warcraft. You see, I don't see any object right here, but if I go outside, there's actually a wall, but you're not supposed to be able to get on the other side, so it wasn't even rendering the back of the wall. We're only rendering the front face of the triangles. So yeah, there's some interesting things you can do with the rasterizer state, but that is all that we are going to cover right now. In the next tutorial, we will probably get into index drawing, and then after that, we might get into setting up a camera.